Okay, so we're asking dumb SEO questions. Each week we answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. With us tonight we have David Rozam. David is an SEO copywriter in the wild west of the United Kingdom. And Masataki Wasa. Masataki is the webmaster of wasaweb.net. Sorry, David, you're muted, but if you have a comment, go ahead. No? Okay. Masataki is webmaster, as I said, of wasaweb.net. He's also a Google top contributor on the AdSense forum and the Google Plus Help community. Tim Kappa joins us back from Special Ops in South Africa. He's webmaster of onlineownership.com. He's proud to call himself an SEO. He's a conversion rate optimization specialist and a consultant to firms like, well, no, I really can't mention a lot of them on there, can I? Okay. All right. Tonight we have 20-odd questions. The first one is fairly straightforward. It's from Orion Solutions proprietary. How can I remove a soft for error page? And it needs an urgent response.
Yeah, the question was, I mean, that we had asked is what kind of page was producing the soft 404. I then went on to say, I'm assuming that this was from a 301 page that is producing the soft 404, because obviously if it wasn't, it would be producing a 404. Anyway, so let's assume that this was a page which you'd 301'd, and now it is showing up as a soft 404. There could be a couple of reasons there. One of the reasons being is you haven't quite got you're not quite 301'ing to a page in Google's eyes which was as similar as the one you 301'd. So if you have 301'd a pink jelly bean page and you've 301'd it to a pink pawpaw page, although you've got pink in it, it's still, the search engine's still seeing it as slightly different, and it's kind of saying, okay, something's not quite right there, and that's why they're showing it as a soft 404. A couple of things you can do there is, if you feel that is the best possible page, try and just maybe add some additional text into the page that you've got it landing on now, just so that you reinforce that actually this is, we are including the pink jelly bean into the pink pawpaw page. And for whatever reason there may be, that should ideally at the next crawl take care of the soft 404. Soft 404s aren't a problem, so don't panic. It's not going to cause some massive ranking craziness, so you wouldn't need to panic. And normally, if you believe if it's in the right one, the best possible page you can 301 to, then that should, in a month or two, it should move itself off. But I wouldn't panic. Don't worry about it. It's all okay.
Yeah, that's a very comprehensive and no doubt accurate answer. Did anyone else want to add? I don't know what anyone could add to that, but does anyone else want to put something on that? No? Okay. Question 2 we've got on your run list, guys, is titled Yoast Meta Descriptions, lodged by Valentina Huff. Valentina asks, how come my website's meta descriptions are different to what I loaded into the Yoast plugin. The description tag copy is being pulled from somewhere else. I'm guessing.
I guess.
Oh, yeah. Yep, go ahead.
You want me to go ahead? I guess the first question is,
Yes.
are we dealing with page meta descriptions, or is this the the usual question of why isn't my meta description turning up on Google when I do a search?
Yeah, true. I think that's the issue, that she has a certain meta description loaded into Yoast, and Google is putting its own meta description in.
Yeah, I mean, without obviously just finding out a little bit more from, it would have been ideal if we had had a couple of examples and some screenshots. But if your description that you added into the plugin is coming up differently to what you're seeing in a search result, Google, depending on what the search query is, I mean, it will sometimes actually ignore your meta description and show a meta description that they've pulled from maybe the first line because it matches the search query that you're typing in. Is that for all the pages? It would be ideal if we could get a couple of screenshots so that you could actually just see. But Google will also change their titles, and Google will also change descriptions if they feel it serves the search query better. So depending on the search query, why don't you try and change your meta description slightly and see if that one stays for that particular search query that you're seeing a change.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else? Just like to point out too, if you're watching at the moment because you've asked a question, if you actually go to dumbseoquestions.com and look at the link for our watch page, you can actually log straight onto the Hangout here as soon as your question is being addressed. We're just testing that out tonight. We think it works. Angus Watt asks our third question. Whoops, sorry about that. It's titled "The Best Way to Get Traffic from My Old Domain to My New Domain." Angus asks, "Hi there. I have set a current website set up on a domain name that is quite well established. I built a new site with a new domain name that is more relevant to my business. I'm wondering the best way to direct traffic from my old domain to my new domain. Should I place a landing page with a link to the new site on my old site for a period of time to advise visitors of the change, or simply redirect the old domain and inner pages to the new domain? What is the best practice from an SEO standpoint?"
Yeah, I kind of answered this for him in the actual in SEO questions. A good thing came up was pretty much right. Well, if this is getting you traffic, if this is about your business anyway, but you're saying you've got something which is a little bit more relevant, the question was, well, why do you want to change it if you're making the new site slightly more relevant? Why don't you just put a few more relevant pages into your website that's already there now, that's got authority, it's already ranking well, it's already getting traffic? And I can understand when this happens, if you've got a product or any business, whatever the case may be, as a business grows, progresses, products develop, they slightly change course, and sometimes you pick up a different sort of market that you want to, it happens all the time. So we can understand that, but rather than just, getting rid of a site and opening a new one, why don't you just take create more relevant pages to your new product market or your new segment or whatever the case may be, and create those onto the site in a useful way, because that way, you're still going to get your old traffic, your old customers, and then you're still going to be targeting your newest sort of niche market that you're trying to go down. But to go back to the initial question, the initial thing is you ideally, if you're going to change from a domain to a domain, every page needs to be 301 to the best possible matching page there is. So your about page will go to a new about page, your contact page will go to your new contact page, your pink purple page will go to your next, because let's say it's a slightly more different niche market, it might be pink pineapples and purple. So those ones would need to redirect. You need to redirect every single page to the nearest best possible fit. Yes, you can also put a little banner up, advising people that in a day or two, but ideally you just want to bite the bullet, do it properly, and migrate from one to the other, and just get it over and done with. But the actual, at the end of it, they decided, to answer the whole thing, they decided to actually create more relevant pages into their site now, rather than having to go through this whole rigmarole of changing one domain to another domain. They're just going to address their new business within their existing site.
Cool. Did anybody want to add anything to Tim's excellent explanation? Okay. Next, we have a question from. Oops, I've clicked the wrong button. I'm such an idiot. The next one is question 4 on your run list from Orion Solutions Proprietary Limited, titled "Why Has Google Ended the Authorship Program?"
I unfortunately was on holiday when this all went down, so I haven't really followed anything in that sense. But from what I did manage to get when I got my when I did manage to get a Wi-Fi connection, was they pretty much came out saying that they the uptake wasn't there. The data that they were getting from the whole thing just didn't, work for them. I don't think it's some major conspiracy. They just didn't feel it was working for them, and I think there has been a few articles out saying that click-through rate actually, when we were all thinking yes, it has improved, and I for one saw my click-through rates improve with authorship. However, without authorship now, my click-through rates are still pretty stable. So on the flip side of it, was it really working as intended? Was the area very noisy for them? Because the whole idea about authorship was to tie an author to a piece of work and understand him online as a person, and perhaps at some stage attribute something to that author's content. The thing is, was it very noisy? Was it taking too much effort to understand the noise around an author? They might come back to it. You never know. They might implement it or use it in some other way. I still have authorship attached to my content. I'm not going to remove it just because that's gone. Yeah. Like I said, I was away when this all broke, so I haven't all read it, but it is disappointing because I liked seeing my face in the SERPs. but but apart from that, you know, yeah.
Well, it could be, Tim, that your click-through rate improves without your image.
Cheeky bastard. You never know, Jim. You never know.
Never know.
Yeah, maybe I just grow long blonde hair, some breasts, and I bet you my click-through rate will go up. But then again, it doesn't exist anymore.
Okay. Now, did anybody else want to add anything to that? All right. You go ahead. No? Okay. All right. Next, we have a question from Gabriel Partenay. The right number of keywords in order to avoid a Google penalty. He says, on-page SEO. I saw a lot of documentation about keywords density, and the opinions are very different. In your opinion, what are the right number of keywords, percentage on page text, in order to avoid a Google penalty for keyword stuffing?
I'm just trying to remember from what we all decided from that one hangout a couple of months back where we decided on the exact percentage. Wasn't it 8 or something, Jim?
Well, it was taken in check.
Yeah. Yeah. There is no percentage. Unfortunately, whatever you have read about someone saying about keyword density and percentages and the amount of keywords, I think is very misleading, or they could be very old articles that you've read. Yes, you do need to obviously have a form of keywords on your page, of course, and ideally it would be, if you're selling pink pineapples, then your title on that page would be pink pineapples, and ideally you want that in an H1 somewhere along the line. And of course, your natural language that you are going to be describing your product or page, I would urge you to consider writing for your user, and use synonyms, because Google is becoming semantic in that sense. They're trying to understand natural language. They're trying to understand natural search queries, human search queries, and things like this. So the big thing here is write for your user, because this is your one shot to convince that user to perform whatever you want him to do on that page. So if you're selling a watch, that is your one chance to convince that user on that page with the content you provide to him, and let's call it the sales pitch. That is your chance to sell that product to him. If you're going to write a whole lot of kind of content, but you're going to shove in extra keywords about men's watches and watches for men and blah 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 into something that doesn't read very well and doesn't engage very well, well, you've lost the sale. The guy is going to go elsewhere because it may not read well. So yes, think about your keywords, but there is no massive amount or a certain percentage in there. It needs to read well because your guy needs to make the sale. Or if you're wanting them to contact you for a quote, if your language on there is keyword stuff that doesn't read very well, you're just you can see that you're repeating things in there. Are they really going to actually email you for a quote when your language on there isn't as professional as it would ordinarily be if you weren't trying to shove stuff in there? But more than certainly use synonyms and phraseology within within that particular niche, because Google understands this and they're trying to understand this, and they are actually building this up rapidly. So yes, get your keywords in there, use them in your tags, but do it in a natural way. In terms of your content, write for your user, and your keywords will naturally appear within that. But obviously, try and use synonyms if there are synonyms within the area. But no, there is no magic keyword density.
Excellent. Anybody else?
Yeah, I suppose that's as it's my area. Yeah, I agree basically with Tim. The thing that's writing for the user. It's something that we talk about lots more now, as if it's something that is never. Sorry, I'm just seeing Tim's comment here. Totally and utterly threw me there. Anyway, yeah, we say a lot about writing for the user. The thing was, right from the beginning, we had to write for the user. We just disappeared up our own whatevers, getting caught up with throwing fixed number of key phrases at a piece, and it still had to read properly, even in the old days of key phrase densities. I think these days we still need to do key phrase research. We still need to know what to put in. It's no good having a page on mortgages, which is my favourite thing. You always get a financial service advisor saying, yes, I want to rank for mortgages. Forget it. You know, you've got to find the niches, but then you've got to tell the story, and some people talk about theming these days. You know, have a theme for the page, so you have I don't know, self-employed mortgages, freelance mortgages, and small business owner mortgages, perhaps, I don't know, whatever. So I think that, you know, this is going at the semantic thing that Tim was talking about earlier, and I think that the idea of writing for the user can get you caught up in a spiral trying to target your content at areas where you're just not going to rank. So you still need to have the SEO flavour in it. And I think for me the strategy and the numbers and the analysis before you start writing, so you know that you're writing right for your customers, and also you've got a chance of ranking. So yeah, forget about keywords density, but be very clear about who you're writing for and why the key phrases you're using are the right ones to use, because you know you still do need to write with Google in mind. It's just it can't be just for Google. I think that's it.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Anybody else? I don't think anyone's going to top that, are they? No. Okay. Now we have a question from Himanshu Sharma. And Himanshu asks, what type of domain should I purchase? I'm thinking to buy a .com domain, but I am puzzled. Please suggest to me what type of domain I should purchase. Rob Mars, how are you?
Right.
I have to read Tim's story.
Now, not wanting to stereotype, because you could be coming from anywhere in the world, Himanshu, but I'm at a guess saying that you're sort of in India or around there. Personally, I would always, if I was looking for a domain and I was in a particular country, I would always look for .com first as a natural thing, because it's just always looks better, and I like it personally. My next option would be to go for your country domain, but there is no specific benefit in a .com over a domain, a country domain, because I'm assuming that everything will be, for that country specific itself anyway. So unless you're particularly wanting to target sort of the rest of the world, if you're selling to the rest of the world as that such, I would ultimately try and get a .com. If your business is only in that particular country, well, then your country, domain is fine, as is the .com, because you can geo-target it in your webmaster tools for that particular country. And you could also use a server in that particular country if you wanted to, which you don't necessarily need to. But it's entirely up to you. But a .com or your country domain is not going to have a massive impact if you're only serving in that country. So I wouldn't get hung up about it. It also depends what is available.
Did I catch you out then, Tim, or your question ended very quickly?
No, that's no. I know it ended quick. I think I just that was. I don't think I could say any more, and I just realised, hang on, I can't say any more. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? I'm just about to send an invitation for William Rock to join us. Just 1 second. There we are. Okay, so let's go to the next, because I'm sure Tim gave good advice to Himanshu. Stephen Oller asks, should I keep these links no follow or do follow? Now, listen carefully here, guys, because this is a really complex question, and also it's clear that Stephen knows what he's talking about, so we better make sure that we do too. Stephen asks, hello experts. He said site information. It's 15 multilingual site with unique CCTLD under one brand. The product and category pages have the same design, while written with unique content in local languages. The site is already coded with HF lang code, rel alternate HF lang and the language, throughout all pages of sites. A display pop-up based on user IP, so that user can select the local domain based on location. Now, his query begins. The footer section contains cross-domain one-to-one mapping links between all sites and all pages. Should I keep these links no follow or do follow? He's saying no follow link prevents page rank flow to the other domain. Do follow link distributes page rank to the other domain, and that may cause a manual link penalty. Can anyone suggest to me between no follow and do follow, which links are best in the above scenario? Thanks, Stephen Oliver. Top question. While you guys are gathering your thoughts, I'd say the fact that there's 15 languages here. I'll just check. He's saying, well, it seems to me he's got unique CCTLDs for each of these languages under a single brand. The number of sites, given there's 15 languages, it's possibly looked upon as or could be looked upon as a link scheme. If you only got 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of these footer links sites and all linking together, that's generally under the radar. But 15, that would trouble me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's my feeling also, Jim. 15 is a lot, and that could be quite easily construed or misconstrued as, a nice big fat link network, especially because they're all in different languages, and how they're going to make the connection. What in that instance, if you really want to carry on with the footer links like that, do follow could possibly be your best. No follow would possibly be your best option. However, there is another way of not necessarily off every page in that sense, but why don't you send them to a page on each site that you've created explaining the business, because essentially they're all the same. You've just created 15 TLDs, 15 sort of separate sites, obviously separate languages, but it's all under one brand. Why don't you have a page on each just detailing the company, or the sites within the brand, and then you could either link it to that individual page, on each site, so that they could move through to wherever they want to go.
I just put a note in the chat there. Sorry to interrupt you there, Tim. David Harris put a note in the chat. He said read multiple TLDs, that they can be followed. Google won't give a hard time. It's a standard practice. I agree with that. It is a standard practice, but
it is. But
not for 15.
And also, they are different languages, correct? So, if a German is pointing to an English, theoretically, it's not going to, unless it's just not. I don't know. It's a hypothetical question, and I think, I don't know. I know how I would do it, but there is a lot of opinion on this. And
anybody else?
Also put them in a drop-down menu in his menu bar.
Sorry, Robert. That was really muffled.
He could also put it in a drop-down menu in his menu bar.
Yeah.
And if he does it as a drop down, it's not the linking issue. But I mean, looking back at his question, that a no follow link prevents page rank flow to the other domain, but the do follow link, his concern is that it may cause a manual link. Well, I mean, I don't know what you guys think, and I wouldn't back my judgment in any way, shape, or form, but I think manual link penalties only come from people that adopt them in. I'm sure Google doesn't have people running around checking on things. It's only when other people complain about your site. Yeah. I don't know. William Rock has just joined us. He says, "Thanks, Jim, for letting me play with the big boys." Yeah, good one, William. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Dave. I'm sure David Harry is still listening, or walked off in disgust, or one or the other. But the answer that we give to Stephen Olin, do we have any consensus on it?
Personally,
Go on, Tim.
Personally, for me, look, if you had to make a decision, you know what, I'd leave him. I'd go do follow if I was going to leave him, because if you were concerned about a manual penalty, that's quite simple enough to remove and have a recon done if it was just on that. It's very simple, five-day job. However, the way I personally would do this would have a brand page on each of their sites, which those are the ones that would be interlinked, or just the home page of each interlinked, not every single page on the site and things like that. It would either just be to a singular page on each site, or like Rob said, in a drop-down menu. Ordinarily, it wouldn't be a problem, I don't think, but when you've got different languages and over 15 of them, you know, you give Google benefit of the doubt. Yes, they can work it out, but what happens if someone feels on a particular day and it can't figure it out? I don't know, for whatever the case may be. But that's the way I would do it.
Yeah. Okay. And William's put a note in the chat. Did you want to read it out, William? No? Okay. All right. Let's Stephen Oliver. Look, I'm sorry. We haven't got a definitive answer. I think the answer is that we don't know. But I guess with David feeling sure that it's okay, I suppose on balance it's okay. And as Tim said, it won't take long to if you do get a manual penalty to fix it. Next question is from Samantha Christie Estacar. How to improve my referral traffic. Now, Samantha has asked this question of us before, and you said that though there were a lot of answers across my query, I'm still looking to find ways to to improve my referral traffic. I've tried a lot of things suggested by people in the SEO community. I'm worked on all source and medium like forums, guest posts, social bookmaking, press release, social media sharing, engaging, but still not much traffic. And I can't buy an exact match domain for my site. Are there any other ways to improve my referral traffic?
I don't want to be critical or sound, like I'm coming across as, Look, you say you've done forums, guest posts, social bookmarking, press releases, social media sharing and engaging, but you can't find the traffic. Okay. Now, I don't want to be horrible about this, but you're obviously not doing it in the kind of the right way, in that sense. Also, please bear in mind that, you know, building a brand and building authority and building an engagement, whether it be on social, on anything like that, does take time. It's not going to happen overnight. Now, I don't know obviously how long you were doing this, and also what the quality of, you know, the pages and things are like. But let's say, for example, I'm going to take one of your things here. Let's say, for example, you've done a guest post. Now, let's just take a quick thing. So you've done a guest post. What was that site that you guest posted on? Is it a great site? Is it a good site? How much traffic do they get themselves? Does it do all the other posts get a lot of engagement? Do they get a lot of likes and tweets and Facebooks and plus ones and stumbles and blah 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 on the other posts? How did your guest post compare in terms of that? You know, so you could have done a guest post on a pretty mediocre site that only gets maybe 100 visits a day. Now, if you've thrown yours into the mix and it didn't quite gel with that, although they accepted it and it didn't quite gel with the sort of the flavor of the thing, and there was only 100 a day, you know, you might only expect 1 or 2 out of that would come and visit, you know, yours or for guest post, because ideally, if you think about the guest post in that sense, you're writing on there, and unless you've really created some kind of, you know, something exceptional that people want to go like, hey, I want to see who this author is, and then they go to you. So obviously they're going to one of your social profiles to go and look at that, and then they might come to your site. So, you know, it's a roundabout way. It takes time to build these things up, and you need to find the one that's going to fit obviously what your site is about, and that niche and that genre. Obviously, without knowing what your actual site is and what kind of niche and where have you done this? I mean, social bookmarking is not going to bring you any traffic. I mean, just forget about it. Have you done any, you know, sort of any paid marketing? So, for example, your latest blog post. Have you tried to promote that on StumbleUpon? You know, does StumbleUpon, for example, because and the reason I bring that up, it's relatively cheap, sort of a source, but of course, do they have a section within sort of StumbleUpon within there? Can you fit within? I mean, if you're doing something about, I don't know, nuclear thermodynamic something or other, and it's not sort of really something that would fit within StumbleUpon, you need to just find out. But have you done anything like that? You know, sort of paid, you know, paid promotion of things, but without seeing your site, seeing what type of content and thing you're doing, it's quite difficult. But also bear in mind that these things do take time. Nothing is going to flow overnight from a social bookmark. Nothing is going to flow overnight from a press release. I mean, what was the press release about that you say? Was it about a new watch on your site? Was it, you know, where did that press release go? Was it a targeted press release to all the industry, niche specific industry that you know, manufacturers watches or sells watches or fashion magazines, or was it just one of those regular press release things that you submitted, you know, paid your $5 and kind of just like left it to it? It's how you're going about these, and also, you know, the quality of the way that you are going about it. It takes time, and you really need to be targeted, and not kind of scattergun in terms of, oh well, I left a message on this forum, I chucked in one guest post there, I did 50 social bookmarkings on all these like rather bizarre bookmarking sites here. I published one press release on a PR Newswire, and I did a lot of +1s and a few Facebooks and a couple of tweets, and I've got no traffic. First, it's going to take time, but you need to be a little bit more focused and a little bit more targeted about it. And I don't think from what I've said now is probably going to help you, because you've reposted this again. So yeah, you might, yeah, sorry.
Okay, anybody else? Well, Samantha, that's the very best we can do. Going back to the question for Stephen Oliver, David Harry also popped in again and said, read multiple TLDs. They can be followed. Google won't give a hard time. It's a standard practice. Now, I would look at the link ratios to the various sites so that the stronger ones pass value to linker one. Anyway, not an issue. It's a very common practice. Yes, it is. I agree. It's a very common practice, but gee, 15 of them. I know if someone was beating me, I'd be complete. And I mean, I complain a lot because everyone beats me. Okay. Next is a question from Dieter Martin, who's asked a question of us before. Setting up citations for a local business. He goes on to say, local SEO. When setting up citations for a local business, should I add the type of legal entity, e.g. LLC, S.A. Inc., etc., to the listing or not? What if the listing provides a field for the entity type? My current take is that it doesn't matter as long as it is consistent. My OCD take, there's a man after my own heart, is added, how could it possibly hurt?
It certainly needs to be consistent. Decide whether you want to add it from the beginning, but you definitely need to be consistent. With it in or with it out, it's not going to make sort of any difference. The ones which say to ask you for it, they sometimes don't add it actually into the name of the business on the listing itself. They tend to use it more on the profile of the company, but it all depends. And I think if you get one or two here or there that adds limited to the end of the name, that's not going to make a difference. But if you've got sort of 50% with and 50% without, well, it's going to get confusing. I know on just on Google, well, it's called Google My Business now, whatever. But even there, they get confused if you've got a limited company with a limited name and then you've got one without listed somewhere on the site. The trick is just try and keep it consistent. I don't think if you get the odd one here or there that adds in, a limited into it, it's going to, really screw the bot. But as long as the majority are in, the same shape.
Okay, I think that just about covers that one. Anybody else? All right. Next, we have a question from Eric Bryant. Have you ever worked with BrightEdge? If so, what are your thoughts on their software? I've never used them, but I hear a good bit about them in SEO consulting. I don't know anybody here uses Brightheads or has used it. I don't think. No. Can we think of anybody that's normally on the panel that might not be here at the moment? I suppose we could ask Alistair Lattimore, if anybody. Yeah, Alistair, Tim just put in the chat that Alistair might know. That's what I think too, Tim. I wonder if we tag Alistair on the question in the community, he might be able to answer. Can someone do that for me, please? All right. I'm sorry, Eric Bright, but we will do our best to get an answer for you. Next, there's a question from Bali Ravi Kumar. Needs suggestions on keyword competition. He says, hi friends, I have a problem with my client keywords. All are good except that the client needs the keywords on the first page, and it is for the home page. And our competitors are our client partners, and is it possible that our page should share in our client's site? And it is having any use to improve my keyword position from second page to first page. Can anyone please suggest to me? Nobody answers this on the community because it seems a bit complex. Anybody want to have a go at this one? I can't hear you, William Roth. No. Your microphone is muted. You need to unmute it to speak. I'm trying to get the angle on Bali Ravi Kumar's question.
I'm not sure I understand it either.
Yeah.
I would say that the first idea that the client keywords are all good, I would question straight away without seeing the site.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it needs to be broken down a bit more by Bali, so we understand what precisely is happening here.
Yeah. Okay. Let's deal with this way then. Please, Bali Ravi Kumar, if you could re-ask your question. Please give us the list of those keywords so that we can have a look at, and also if you could post some URLs so we can have a closer look at it, because at this stage we're not confident that we have a full understanding of it. Next, we just have something that I posted on the community just for a bit of fun. I found a dead penguin. Actually, I tried to upload. Google is very clever. I tried to upload a dead penguin to Charleston Park, which is the car park outside the Googleplex in Mountain View. It wouldn't let me upload a dead penguin, but it would let me upload an image inside Charleston Park. So it certainly wasn't knocking me back because I'm me. It knocked me back because I'm not allowed to load a dead penguin into Charleston Park into Google Maps. Anyway, so that's the penguin that I tried to upload a few months ago. Just a bit of fun. But how about it, guys? What's your opinion on Penguin? Do you think it's gone, or do you think it's just, as has been stated officially by Google, that it takes a while to get ready to run, and they're still working on it? Given that it's what is it now? It's well over a year, isn't it, since the last time it ran?
Isn't it
Anyway. Okay. All right, look, moving on then. Question number 13 on your own list. Is there any word limit for image alt text? Jai Prakash asks, hi everyone, is there any word limit on the alt text in SEO? If this question has been asked before, my apologies. William Rock in the comments. Well, look, William, if you'd like to talk about Penguin, go ahead. The floor is yours. Oh, no microphone. Okay, all right. It's a conspiracy. All right. And Jai Prakash, can somebody give me something for Jai Prakash? Question 13 on your run list. Look, Jai, all I can say is that years ago on the ShopSafe sites, we were putting the product name, merchant, and product category into alt text, and with long named products, it became a hugely huge long alt for the product image, and we didn't notice anything which would say that it was bad or good. So I suppose the answer is that we don't know, but we don't think so. Everybody happy with that? I'll take that as a yes. Stephen Sicantelli. Stephen runs a Braxi taxi in the US of A. And he says, .gov follow backlinks. He says, if I am in a .gov directory and I can click on my website, does this mean I have a .gov follow backlink? Excuse me. Okay, please answer this for me. I'll answer it. Oh yeah, go ahead, Tim.
No, you go first.
All right. Well, look, Stephen, this is really easy. If you're using Google Chrome, right-click on your link and select Inspect Element. That'll take you straight to the line of code that your link is in. If it has rel nofollow, you have a nofollow backlink. If you cannot see rel nofollow on the link to your site, then you have a .gov, well, assuming the site is .gov, a .gov followed backlink. Not that I think it makes a lot of difference with a .gov. I mean, people say that. That's because they're harder to get, but Google may not necessarily rank them higher. I think that the thing is whether they're relevant. I'm sorry for yawning. I'm on holidays at the moment, and I just can't get my brain in there. Moving on to the next one, number 15 on your run list from Ritu Ahuja. While testing my site speed, two must-fix suggestions. One is optimize images, and two, eliminate render blocking JavaScript and CSS in above the fold content. How to fix these? It seems quite technical. I will appreciate any help.
I can have a go.
While we're waiting,
If you like.
you go ahead.
Sorry. Yep, me?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I had to do this on my website a while back because the thing was running slowly and there are lots of images. Basically, I put a plugin, and I can't remember which one it was, into WordPress, and basically said crunch them all, and it whizzed away, and it did that. Now, I've got another site. Sorry, no, that was one of my other sites. The writingforseo.org is on WP Engine, and that didn't work. So I had to pull all of the images back down onto my Mac and run it through a piece of software to squeeze the images. So it depends on what your site is, whether there's some nice way of just grabbing the images and pulling them down, so you can use some kind of batching on it, or whether it's going to be a pain in the arse. But sorry, am I allowed to say arse on this? Anyway, so yes, well worth doing is really why I jumped in. Find a way to do it. Get your images compressed, and see good things happening. Okay, that's about it. I haven't got a clue about blocking JavaScript and CSS. If someone can tell me how to do that easily, I'll be very happy.
Yep, no problem. Excellent. Well, look, moving on from there. Yes, you are allowed to say us. I guess David Rosedown. We use Tim Capper as our benchmark. Kapil Bhardwaj asks, what should I do to improve the page loading speed? This is a very similar question. I should have put them together. Damn. Kapil says, hello all my SEO friends. I have updated my site recently, and now I take much time in loading. My question is, what should I do for my site to load faster? Look, I do apologise, guys. I should have combined those two questions together, but now that I haven't, we have to answer it again. Somebody like to address this one?
Well, like the previous one is, one of your quickest ways is just double check your page, use Google's page speed insights, pop your domain into that, and it'll give you an idea on, it'll give you somewhat rough ideas on where your site's falling down in terms of speed. It could be your images, it could be files, it could be, your CSS, but chuck it into that, and it'll give you a starting point on how to increase the load time of your site.
Thank you, Tim. All right, let's go now to question 17 on our run list from Jocelyn Taylor, who says that my site has no backlinks in Google. Is there anyone who can give me some tips?
Yeah, Jocelyn, I guess you're using. I guess you've just started out, really, or have had a site for a while, but never really marketed it. So I guess you're starting from the beginning. Link one of your one of your articles on your site. I'm assuming you do create content on your site. Pop one of those links into your Google Plus, and all of a sudden you've got a link. But that is obviously no followed, but hey presto, you have a link. Okay, so now let's get serious. Right, there's loads of way of doing this. I don't know what you do, Jocelyn, but one of the quick ways of getting a link is join your local business. Does your county have a business group? Join that. Boom, you get listed. You've got a link coming back. Do you have any other relevant local listings in your area? So I'm just going to say, Jocelyn, that you do flowers. Is there a business directory, a local business directory in your area for florists? Register your business on that, and you have another link coming back to you. But when I say these, you need to keep it local and niche to your business in that sense. Do you do anything within the community? If you do anything within the community that's worthy of picking up the phone to your local newspaper, charity something or other in the area, something that you did in the community, whatever the case may be, that is, potentially a story. If that story potentially goes online, and you do get them to mention your website, then there's a link coming back to you. It's all about basically doing anything you would ordinarily do in what we, sort of old school marketing. It basically just transferring that to online in that sense. You've got to talk about your brand and get it mentioned. Engage with communities online. Obviously you're on Google Plus, but join other communities, and let's go back to sort of florists. Look in the community section in Google Plus. Are there any other florists there? Share your pictures, talk, discuss, and someone might mention you on their site. Do you have suppliers that supply to you, or you supply to? Have a chat with them. Do they have something on their site which mentions people that they, or companies that they work with? If they do, ask them, hey, I'm a supplier, or I supply you. I'm not on your website. Would you mind putting that on? So that it's about engaging and talking to people, and sort of think marketing. You need to build up your brand and yourself online for people to want to link. Now, let's say you're creating content. People, if you create great content that people like to read, and let's say you already do. Obviously, well, no, we'll say you won't because you haven't had any links. But the question is, you need to push your content out to relevant people, and slowly start building, readership and engagement on your site. As that builds up, and it does, it's not overnight. As that builds up over time, and people will start mentioning you, saying, well, have you seen this website? And there's a link. Or some great pictures of flowers. Oh, well, talking about flowers and pictures, do you have pictures on your site? When you publish something, or your other pages. If you've got a gallery of images or whatever the case may be, create a Pinterest page and start pinning those. Although those are no follow, they are still great for people coming back to you in terms of traffic. So there's a whole raft, but just get into the whole idea that something that you put on your website, you kind of need to push it out there. You need to market it. You need to. It's like a magazine. You still need to engage. You still need to put yourself out there to get your content out there or your site out there for people to actually get to hear about you, know about you, and actually mention you, aka a link. So yeah, start keeping your eye out for opportunities where you could potentially do something that someone else will mention you, and build up your brand and your brand online out there.
Excellent, Tim. Excellent. Okay. Next, we have a question from. Nobody else wanted to add anything to that for Jocelyn, did they? Okay. Question 18 on your run list from J. Lee Butilia. Why has Google suggested HTTPS for sites?
No answer. Right, why has Google suggested this? Personally, so I'm going to answer this from my own personal thing. Personally, if you have any kind of e-commerce, if you've got an e-commerce site, you are obviously conducting transactions online, that part of your site that conducts the transactions will whether you're using an offline or if you're using your own, should have an SSL certificate, which is basically for secure transactions, so that it's secure between the person inputting their credit card number and that credit card number being transferred across the web to the actual provider, in that sense, who is going to process that credit card number. So naturally, it would make sense that if you're providing that secure environment for them to process transactions within your site, then why not roll it out to the rest of your site? It makes sense. It will be better for the user to feel that they're in a secure environment, when they're on your site, in terms of user confidence. Personally, in terms of a site that is a static site, not e-commerce, that doesn't transfer any sensitive information whatsoever because it's a static site, I personally am not changing over any of my sites or any client sites that aren't e-commerce. Yes, Google says at the minute that there is a slight ranking benefit, and that potentially over time they will increase or may increase that percentage. But looking at the whole thing, if you're not transferring any sensitive information, personally I don't feel you need to. They call it a ranking benefit. Now, there's another 200 odd potential ranking benefits. Are you going to jump on every single one of those potential odd ranking benefits? Will that slight percentage push you up one? It may. But it's a question for you, as in, will the cost of, yes, I know there are free SSL certificates out there, very basic ones, but will the cost and the development time needed to transfer your site over to HTTPS be worth that one little position? I mean, if you're on page 2 of borderline onto page 1. So if you're position 11, it might push you to page 1. So there, you could argue, yeah, fine. But if you're back on position 3 on a particular page or whatever, look, it's you need to weigh it up. Personally, my own personal feelings is Google should have been a little bit more clearer when they did this, because I really don't see the benefit of a static site that does not require or transmit any sensitive information to have an SSL. I really don't see the point in it, and I don't think Google should have said that, oh, we're going to make this a ranking factor, no matter how tiny it is. They shouldn't have said that in terms. I really don't think they should have done, because you've got, millions and millions of small one-page plumber sites, electricians, car dealership. You've got millions of small business sites out there which do not need an SSL, and it will not make their user feel more secure if they're looking for a flaming emergency plumber on a Friday night. They are not going to really care whether he's got, whether you can find his phone number securely or not. It's personally, it's ridiculous. But the point is you need to just weigh it up and bear in mind that this is a minute ranking signal. We're talking a position, if that. So weigh up the costs, weigh up the development time, weigh up the pros and cons before you make that decision. If this is a static site, if you already have SSL in part of your transaction section on your website, you may as well convert it across. Then it makes sense. But at the minute, it's entirely up to you. But I'm not bothering with any static sites.
Sorry, I was muted.
Yesterday, Tom said something similar, that he wouldn't do it if it was just for the rankings and not for shopping or something like that, because at the moment it's such a small thing, and there are a lot of things that can go wrong, and a lot of people seem to get error messages when they implement HTTP. So at the moment, if you don't have a shop, don't do it. If you're not changing your website anyway, and if you start up a new one, you can start with it. And they are down to €1 a year at the moment here in the Netherlands.
Okay, Rob, the reason people aren't responding is because, well, at least for me anyway, your voice is coming through really muffled. Is anybody else hearing the same as me? Yeah, it's really almost impossible to understand what you're saying tonight, Matt. Normally you're so you have your dulcet tones that everybody can understand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's it. That's better.
Yeah, I don't know where the mic is on this.
I see.
I'll have to find it out. Perhaps it's on the back or something.
Yeah. Well, no, that's clear. That's much clearer anyway. By the way, on the previous question, William Rock left a note regarding for the site speed question. He wanted to add for page load speed, check your Google Analytics under site speed. He also added a whole lot more, but I'm really not up to reading it all out, William. But you're welcome to join us with that mic and at any time. All right, question 19 on our run list. What exactly is a cPanel? Stephen Sicantelli wants to know, he said, is it where you go to work on the website? If so, I hope it is user-friendly. Anybody to explain cPanel? Kartik Betty. I'll read Kartik's answer and we'll call it an answer. Kartik, who's with us, but just posting in the chat here. cPanel is where you control your server. It could be a shared server, VPS, or dedicated server. It just enables you to apply the settings on your server, and you can do anything with your website, like editing files, doing server changes, installing scripts, running regular jobs called crons, etc. Yeah, okay, that's a fair enough answer. Well, look, guys, I think we've done it again for yet another week. We've answered all the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. Now we move on to the SEO News community on Google+, and discuss. We've actually got quite a number of news items this week, because last week with our 100th episode, we didn't get to cover the news items from last week. So we've got last week's and this week's together. Normally we'd be answering things that have popped up in the news in the previous 7 days, but today we're answering 2 weeks worth. The first one is an article. You can see, by the way, if you go to the SEO News community on Google+, you can see these topics listed. This one was posted by Edwin Yonk, and it is titled, "It Might Be Better Not to Jump on the HTTPS Bandwagon." And there's an example that Google does not accept HTTPS sites into the verified stores program. We don't recommend publishers with HTTP sites convert their sites to HTTPS unless they have a strong reason to do so. That's a message from AdSense. What time do we have this? David Roseanne wants to know why I said Wild West of the UK in the introduction. Well, look, it's pretty simple. Whenever I'm lost for words, I say Wild West. It seems to work, you know. I put Andy Wigglesworth up in the frozen wastelands of Doncaster. And it turns out it's a frozen wasteland. Anyway, Wild West Sussex. Well, you said it could very well be, you know. In Sussex, they've probably got an underbelly of wife swappers and it could be anything happening out in Sussex. All right, getting back to whether to jump on HTTP. We did actually talk about this early in the Hangout, but nobody has a comment on whether we should be jumping on HTTPS or not.
No, I think I gave you my opinion on HTTPS. Don't bother.
Okay. All right. Next, we have a question that was posted by Edwin Yonk, and okay.
Okay, so we're asking dumb SEO.
Okay, so what happened was he was. We have been loading all of our old episodes right up to the current day onto SoundCloud. You can find them at soundcloud.com/dumb questions. And he was uploading dumb SEO questions 19, which was quite a long time ago, and there was a question about Alexa rank. And he said, we get these questions a lot, and this article is all you need to know about Alexa rank. Okay, so the URL we'll post. I'll ask somebody that's in this hangout at the moment to add this to the site anyway, but I'll read it out to you. It's www.now.w.com/blog-alexa-rank/ and apparently it's an explanatory article that's useful and gives a set of opinions that we generally would agree with. Any comments? All right. I'm making heavy weather of the news tonight. Great. Okay. Here's a news item about a book written by Eric Smith. Well, a ghost written by Jonathan Rosenberg, of course, but I thought it was really funny because one of the pieces of advice in the book, it said, when considering candidates for a role, favour people with a track record of learning new things over the ones with a track record in that particular role. Given that Google's habit is to hire people with a track record in particular roles, I thought that was a bit funny. Anybody else have a comment before I move on to the next? Okay, here's another one posted by Edwin Yonk. What is the Google Knowledge Vault? Okay, not having much success tonight. I'll skip the next one too. This was a post from Dave Elliott. Anyway, Dave was. Oh well, look, I'll read it out. I'm sure he posted it so that we would read it out. Dave Elliott said, "Congratulations to Dumb SEO Questions. Not sure where to write this, but it is certainly more news than a question. I'm convinced. I'm not convinced Jim will mind. As a lot of you know, I've been part of the community for a while now, either answering questions myself or asking them of the panel. I've found this to be hugely beneficial to my SEO knowledge, and it really has made me think. With this in mind, it has finally paid off. I have a new job. Good job, Dave. I will soon be starting work for DWA Media in London, and genuinely wanted to thank the panel and everyone who has either asked a question or commented on a question. This place has made me a better SEO, and everyone has contributed to it in one way or another. So thanks everyone. I was going to wait to gush out after I had finished up my current role, but with the 100th episode happening tomorrow, it seemed appropriate to show some appreciation of this community now. But of course, this was written before last week's recording of our 100th episode, And what an episode it was. Comments, guys, on our episode last week?
I missed it. Sorry, Jim.
Yeah, you sent me an email saying, Jim, you're awesome, but you forgot to specify what for. What?
Your style, mate. Your style.
No, not kidding. So, you send me sarcasm when I'm looking for kudos. You send me sarcasm. Thanks, buddy. Okay. I suppose it's my lot in life, isn't it? It comes with the territory when you're an idiot. All right. Well, Dave, thanks very much. And look, we're really glad to know you too. Okay. Next, we have an article about, well, it's posted by Juanito Gallen. And he said, just sharing this one, I created a blog post about SEO on my blog. I posted it to Google Plus, and a few weeks later, I checked it in the search engine, and it ranked 4th on the first page. So Google Plus seems to work. This was noticed by Edwin Yonk that this was Search Plus Your World, or SPYW. And you can see that by the icon on that image, which is in the top right-hand side. All right. Then the next item, which can be seen on the SEO News community on Google Plus, was one posted by Edwin Yonk, Search Plus Your World for Business, and it's an article from Mark Trepagan on some best practices on how to use a Google Plus page to rank for personalized search. Unless anyone has any comment, did someone commenting on this one? No. Okay. Right. Here's another one. Knowledge graph on steroids. It was posted 3 days ago by Edwin Yonk. The current article argues that the current knowledge graph is too limited because I had comments from AJ Cohn. I've been away, guys, so I haven't had time to read this. I'm counting on you to answer. Okay, we'll have to pass on it because I didn't get time to read it. Dear me. This is an article, create good content and optimize a site for Hummingbird. Do we have anybody here that wants to talk about Hummingbird? Okay, and news item 29 is another one from Dave Elliott. Google stopping showing authorship in search results, and I don't think we're going to comment on that, will we? No. Okay, and well, that's it. That is the last the last listing tonight. We've made it through to the end, and I am absolutely exhausted. I'm currently on holidays at the moment, and I was up at 5 this morning. So look, if and that was 19 hours ago. So if I seemed a bit dopier than usual, it's just because I've been taking a few tips from Tim Capper. Anyway, look, for those of you still watching, thank you very much. We're going to go into Green Room now. But I'll post a link on the SEO Questions community on Google Plus, and you're more than welcome to join us. We'll be back for episode 102 next Thursday at the same time and place. Thank you very much.